So my name's Tony Higson. I'm the Managing Director of Grayson GB Limited, and we're a specialist supplier of products to the construction industry.
Hello, I'm David Wilshin. I'm a Carbon and Procurement Specialist at Auditel. Auditel are a special carbon accounting firm providing services to the construction sector to enable them to reach carbon neutrality.
Well, Grayson as a business wanted to go for carbon neutrality. Asking around, there are lots of different versions of carbon neutrality. We had a conversation and you recommended past 26 date has been the right direction.
Yeah, I think that's the difficulty in the marketplace, Tony, is that there are so many standards from so many different organisations. And the reason that we thought PAS 2060 would work for Grayson was that it's an international standard, it's internationally recognised, it's a UCAS accredited scheme. So yeah, that was the reason for the recommendation.
So I thought that once we'd got the PAS 2060 that we needed a third-party verifier, and it was important to me that verifier was UKAS. I felt it was a badge of credibility. With all the different standards that are out there and all the different versions of carbon neutrality, if I'd gone and got the PAS 2060, then the UKAS verifier was really important to me. And NQA seemed like a very reputable provider of that.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right, Tony. I mean, NQA are a global verification body. At Auditel, we've worked with them for a number of months, well, over a year now, and found their service to be excellent. They really engage in the process and provide, as you mentioned, a UCAS accredited PAS 2060 verification.
Although I was aware of NQA, I think it was your recommendation that you really pushed them as being a credible provider of that. You really gave me the confidence that it was the right choice.
Other brands are available, but we've just found them to be a really effective organisation to get this accreditation.
And it helped. I was aware of them in the industry. I'd seen other providers using them, and that gave me some confidence as well. That I was aware of the organisation.
No, you're absolutely right. Again, I mean, for other ISO standards, they are recognised as a leading verification certification body. So it's not just the carbon neutrality that they can offer. It's a wider range of ISO standards, international standards across the board.
So this was coming concurrent. So we approached you and had a conversation about carbon neutrality. At the same time, we're adopting solar panels and car chargers and Tesla batteries and doing a lot of things to look at our carbon footprint. Sure. It ran concurrent to that. I wanted to set a deadline that was a tight one. I didn't want an open-ended agreement that just rolled on and on and on and on and on. So I wanted to really go tight. I think we're just over a year we gave us.
Yeah.
I set a target of the 1st of May, which was our new financial year. And we went to achieve that. And I knew it was incredibly tight at the time, but I wanted a line in the sand that we're aiming for. And we achieved that. I passed that task through to people here to lead the charge, didn't I? Yeah. And you engage with them. And I know that some of the tasks that were quite difficult.
Yeah, it was because it was your first year actually, measuring your emissions, your greenhouse gas emissions across the business. It was all new. The data that we needed was all new. The people we needed to engage with, how we were going to go about these things. So Neil and Byron, we started off by having a meeting here at what we call a carbon workshop. Sat down with the guys, explained exactly what we're doing, why we're doing it, talked about the 3 scopes of carbon. I won't make you glaze over on that one, Tony, but the idea was to get them engaged in the process, and then they were really instrumental in gathering all the data that we needed to do the analysis to actually calculate the carbon footprint. But for the company in its baseline year to then go on to get that verified, that's relatively rare. Usually it takes a bit more time. But because the guys were so tenacious with the data and engaging with your suppliers and your courier companies, we were able to do it. Okay, well, on the day of verification, we had a team across the NQA network, there were actually 3 auditors involved. One was on site here, and they were really understanding the people involved in the process, talking to them about what they've been doing over the time, and then understanding the operations, looking at the paperwork, and working in conjunction with the work we'd done, our carbon, if you like, accounting book that we produced on the back of all the information we gathered, interrogating that to make sure that it matched with the detail here. As for the other 3 branches of operations, so your London office, your Belfast and Glasgow operations, it was very much a video walk around of those to understand what was happening in those places, get an idea of scale and how they operated. And because kind of all the paperwork comes through here centrally at our head office in Rotherham, we had all the data here that we needed to collect. And the process worked really well. Morning meeting, came back at lunchtime to cover off any questions, and then carried on working through the afternoon with a wrap-up meeting back end of the day. And then a follow-up interview in 2 weeks' time. So it was a really, really robust process, and I think it went well.
There's been a number of ways where Carbon Neutral has supported the business. First and foremost, sustainability is becoming increasingly important in the construction industry. So it was vital that Grayson became carbon neutral, as we wanted to ensure we were a forward runner of the industry. Not only that, but pressure is also coming from the Tier 1 main contractors such as Mace and Wilmot Dixon. And as a result of this, we're seeing a lot more requests on supply chain questionnaires about being transparent with regards to our carbon neutrality.
So my 2 top tips would be, first of all, get staff engaged in the process as early as possible. We'd gone through zero waste to landfill, and that was really important to us, getting staff buy-in at that point. So recycling and, sorting out the cans from the paper and cardboard and everything like that. We did that before, and we got the staff buy-in, and that worked really, really well. So carbon neutrality, it was exactly the same. Get staff buy-in first. So from the solar panels to the car chargers, the test of the batteries, explain to them what we're trying to do, and the social benefits that were there for them as well, like being able to move to electric and plug in an electric car at work and do things like that. So it was, what did it mean for them, as well as the big whole environmental, we're saving the world picture, but what that actually meant to them and the benefits that they would have. So staff buy-in was important to get them all on board. And probably the one that we could have done better was getting supplier buy-in. So, the supplier questionnaires went out, and we probably didn't explain to our suppliers how important this was to us. And so they get a supplier questionnaire through. We might have cajoled them a little bit, but they really probably could have done with understanding our mission and what we're trying to do better. And I think once we learned that, we've chased them around, explained to them. Then the questionnaires came back and we got the information that we required. I think initially we're probably a bit sluggish. So I think probably my 2 would have been staff buy-in and supplier buy-in, I think.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on these supplier part. Well, both points I agree with you, but the supplier, we've learned from that as a carbon accounting firm. If we do engage with your supply chain, put in some phone calls, give them a bit more detail about what you're doing, why you're doing it, they are far more likely to return the questionnaire. So that was a learning for us. And it's something that's evolving within how we engage with our clients' suppliers moving forward. So that's really helpful feedback. The other tip I would have is don't let fear of failure stop you getting started. It's a big task, it's daunting, and if you've not done it before, you've not done a carbon accounting piece, there's a lot to get into. But if you break it down, if you brief the staff, if you have the initial meeting and they get it, they understand what you're doing, and then just follow that up through the process, then you'll get there.
We're finding that both our staff and our customers are receiving it so well, and love the fact that Grayson are doing their part for the planet now when it's most important, and not in years to come when changes to the climate are irreversible.